space for realignment, self-responsibility, and the kind of clarity that changes everything. I am Elysabeth Wolter, life coach, EFT tapping specialist, and the author of The Fairy Elephant Effect, and a guide for people ready to stop shrinking and start living from truth. In this podcast, we explore emotional resilience, shifting the stories that no longer serve us, living with more energy, not less, as we grow. We have fantastic guests on the podcast that come along and share their fairy elephant effects. And when you get to choose your next chapter on your own terms. I speak from experience, not theory. And what I share has helped hundreds of others reclaim their power and return to themselves. You won't find fluff or false promises, just real conversations, grounded truths, and honest encouragement. You matter because everything starts and ends with you. Let's begin. Welcome to the Fairy Elephant Effect, a space for realignment, self-responsibility, and the kind of clarity that changes everything. I am Elysabeth Wolter, life coach, EFT tapping specialist, and the author of The Fairy Elephant Effect, and a guide for people ready to stop shrinking and start living from truth. In this podcast, we explore emotional resilience, shifting the stories that no longer serve us, living with more energy, not less, as we grow. We have fantastic guests on the podcast that come along and share their fairy elephant effects. And when you get to choose your next chapter on your own terms. I speak from experience, not theory. And what I share has helped hundreds of others reclaim their power and return to themselves. You won't find fluff or false promises, just real conversations, grounded truths, and honest encouragement. You matter because everything starts and ends with you. Let's begin. Hello and welcome back to the Fairy Elephant Effect podcast. I'm your host, Elysabeth Wolter, and today we are going to jump into a new thing and speaking about language as a portal. Now, last week we talked about using the words, the attitude, the perspective. Instead of I have to do something, I get to do something. And this week, let's just dive a little bit deeper in that, building on that transformation, because the words you speak to yourself, well, they are actually the sounds that we hear, and they create vibrations, energy, and signals to your mind, body, and heart. So every time we choose words with intention, we open a doorway. By filling our minds and hearts with language that reflects the life we desire, we can gradually, or sometimes dramatically, shift our internal dialogue and our external reality. Also, some of you know I'm an EFT tapping specialist, emotional freedom technique, which is a tool to help us remove the story, the charge, the belief, the narrative. And sometimes doing a bit of EFT tapping while you are working on changing the words that you use can get you to a new place just like that. So when we shift that internal dialogue, our external reality has the opportunity to change. This isn't about denying challenges. We are used to many people being in a negative aspect, having negative thoughts about ourselves. It's like we were trained to look at our faults. And so we're always picking at our faults. We're always letting ourselves down or not living up to something. That is just a pattern and the way you've been trained to move in the world. And I'm asking you, if you could look at some of the words that you say to yourself and allow them to change you from the inside out. It's about changing the relationship we have, but changing the words we attach to the things that we do and the way we move in the world. So there's lots of practical ways for anchoring in words. Of course, noticing words is the beginning. Awareness is the step to every change and every platform and any way in our lives. Until we become aware of something, we cannot take any actionable steps to make a change in it. And so we can strengthen this work with tools that help us to ground these new words into our body and mind. And some of my favourite practices include positive affirmations, deliberately choosing sentences that uplift you. Just last night, I had the opportunity to leave Wanganui and go to Martin to one of my grandchildren's birthday party. And I had my 10-year-old grandson with me in the car. And on the way back, he was saying that, say something happens to my mum or dad, where would I live? Lots of really big questions talking about disasters. And he said, Nana, I think really sad, bad things all the time. And he says, I don't like water, I don't like the beach anymore. I get scared of the waves. And I said, right, well, how about we work on this? This might help you and this might help you too. Because it could be as simple as when you have one negative thought, you need to think of two positive ones. And with my grandson in the car with me about water, I said, okay, so you're scared of water. Let's think of two things that are great about being in the beach and the water. It's great to go for a walk along the beach. It's great to see the beautiful sunsets at a beach. It's great to put your feet and paddle when it's really hot. So we did a whole lot. But the point was, and we talked about a couple of other things that were important to him, and he is in the pattern, and as I say, it's a default for many of us of thinking negative things. So by the time we got home, it's about a 30-minute drive, we were going through things and he would say a negative and then he would look for two positives. And I said, how do you feel now? And he said, I start to feel better. That is so simplistic, very effective. That could be something. That just one new habit, new way you look at things could change how you are for forever, really, because one positive change that you implement as a new, just a standard that you have in your life can make a huge result. Visualizing things, seeing the outcome that you desire and connecting to it so that your body starts to come along with that picture. A lot of Joe Dispenza talks about this. There's lots of people where you can find visualizations or meditations online that help you and teach you to see the outcome you want and to feel the outcome you want. So you're changing energetic body, you're changing your internal thoughts and your mind before the actual event instead of catastrophizing and looking for the negative. EFT tapping, as I mentioned earlier, is a fantastic tool to remove that emotional charge, to remove that stuck narrative, to remove the things that no longer serve you, but you cannot seem to get past or over or around or under. EFT tapping is a brilliant way to do that. Mindfulness, and this means paying attention to the words you choose throughout the day. When we're mindful how we're moving, when we're mindful of what we're saying to ourselves, our energy gets more focused and we will find ourselves less here, there and everywhere, perhaps less discombobulated. Power statements, strong, intentional declarations of your truth. Now, I have power statements. You can use these any way you like. They have come from Louise Hay for me, she would say, get up in the morning, look in the mirror and say, I love myself and approve of myself. I am loving, I am lovable, and I am loved. Look yourself in the eye and say that. And for many people, there's an extremely challenging thing to do, to look yourself in the eye and say those things and not hear or feel negative stuff come rising up. But power statements can be even more intentional. You can say, I am the power in my life. This is what a happy, healthy person looks like. When you start talking to yourself in the mirror and you are making intentional choices of the sentences you use, it is incredible what can happen. And also, it will reveal the junk in the trunk. It will reveal the things that you are not aware of that are sitting in your program, in your software, and that are running 24/7 in the background. Just jot those down. You've now become aware of them. You can now make a change. So the other thing that I do is morning pages. This comes from Julia Cameron, who wrote The Artist's Way. Now I've been doing morning pages for 15, 18 years. And it really helps you to get rid of all the things at the front of your head, all the trivia in a way, and gives you the opportunity to discover yourself, to come to the page, me, myself, and I, having that kind of conversation. It's confidential, it's sacred, it's very, very soul connecting, and it becomes a source of groundedness in your life. And it is 3 A4 pages, no more, no less. Now I do this every morning. It's the first thing that I do. And it just helps me to let go of anything that really doesn't serve me. And I can observe the way that I've been thinking about patterns, what's been coming up for me. There may be things in my past that I drop onto the page. I can let them go now. They've been sitting in there, just out there. It's not a big thing. There might be new stuff coming in that I suddenly get a new inclination for, or a new aspect comes in, and then I can lean into that more. Morning pages is a fantastic way to look at what your inner dialogue has been for now, forever, really. So these practices together, they can be really helpful, but they also let you know that you can make a change. You have the power, the ability to make a change. You are able to action it. And that's really important, because there are things in life that we feel we don't have any control over. This is something within your control. So I'm going to share some words that are naturally high in vibration, words that can shift your energy just by speaking them. And so this is just a little list of words. And then from there, we can look at how you can put those into sentences as a power statement, or something to carry around, or just something you might want to write down in your morning pages. Worthy, wellness, faith, prosperity, insight, unlimited, exciting, love, discovery, visionary, creativity, courageousness, serendipity, grace, harmonious, wealthy, fortune. Now that's just a little list of words. How do they feel for you? In my book, The Fairy Elephant Effect, we talk about, there's a chapter about the words as a portal. There's a lot more words in there that you can tune into and start initiating into your life. But if you were to pick one of these words, and I've written a few sentences here, I've taken the liberty of doing that, you could say, I am worthy of every good thing that comes my way. That could be a truth for you. There may be resistance to that truth, but the resistance to that truth reveals to you what's been holding you back. It's never a negative. It's actually awareness, and you can do something about it. How about, I live a harmonious life filled with love and discovery? Doesn't that feel very moving forward? Doesn't that feel really connected to something that could be a vision for your life? Here's one more. I step into prosperity with courage and grace. See where these sentences take you. Sometimes one word written with intention can open up an entirely new direction in your life. Now let's just take a moment and look at the emotional meaning of words. Words don't just carry meaning, they we have perspective or a belief or a story about them, that they also carry emotion. And that emotion causes action or non-action in our life. Take the word precious, for example. It means treasurable or valuable. For others, it can mean unapproachable or oversensitive. Same word, completely different experience, completely different aspect, leaves a completely different emotional story in your body and in your mind. One of the most powerful examples in my own life has been the word should. Should is heavy. It's filled with other people's expectations and judgments. It really comes from your own authentic choices, and it certainly didn't come from mine. I should vacuum the floor because someone might come past and see my house later on today. I should show up. I should go to that meeting. I should be nice to that person. I should eat this way, or I should do this amount of exercise. Those are because someone else has got into my head and told me those are the ways I have to live my life. That's the parameters, that's the beliefs. But when I shifted from should to could, everything changed. Instead of I should go to the gym, pressure, obligation, I could go to the gym, choice and possibility. Now, for me, going to the gym isn't my thing, but I love working out, so I do yoga at home, I do my mini trampoline at home, I do weights at home, and then I do some body weight exercises. And, even though I work at home, most days I get 10,000 steps in. It's pretty good because I like the feeling of being in control of how my body moves. I could go to the gym, but I don't have to go to the gym. That's not the only way for me to be connected to me. Should is an external word that can come with a lot of baggage and a lot of other people's stories, opinions, and beliefs. Could is an internal conversation. It comes from the inside of us, giving us choice, giving us possibility, giving us power. Should feels like weight, could feels like freedom. So this week, notice the words you use most often. Maybe write them down in a little notebook. Ask yourself, what emotional meaning do I attach to them? Do they lift me up or do they drag me down? Do they come from me or from somebody else's story? Even if you just ask yourself that this week, the things that you do, the things that you say, are they yours or are they somebody else's imprint in your life? And do they have the right echo in your life that you want to take forward? So don't forget, if you ever want to work with me, email me at welcome@lizzysinsightscoaching.com and we can talk about how working with me would look for you. You matter. It all starts and ends with you, and you are allowed to be the best version of yourself. And sometimes it will take a little bit of help, a little bit of direction, and somebody in your corner, and that somebody could be me. So thank you again for joining me in the Fairy Elephant Effect. And there will be an EFT tapping in my YouTube channel to go along with this podcast this week. Been awesome connecting with you again. Until next time. Next week, everybody, take care of you. You matter. Look after yourself because you're the most important person in the room. You can find more tools and inspiration on my website, Lizzy'sInsightsCoaching.com, and my YouTube channel where I share EFT tapping videos you can follow along with. If you haven't tried tapping before, I encourage you to give it a go. It's a powerful tool for transformation. And please subscribe to my channel. If you're ready to move past your past and start living more impactfully, you can reach out to me at welcome@Lizzy'sInsightsCoaching.com. I may have a space for a one-to-one EFT counselling session, or for those ready to truly step in their power, I offer an 8-week program, Release and Truly Align. Don't let anything be a barrier between you and the life you're most meant to live. Thank you again for joining me today on the Fairy Elephant Effect. Have a great week. Until next time, everybody. Bye for now.